Hey friends, today I'm going to show you how to make these super easy sequin jogging pants. To create these pants, I am using a stretch sequin fabric that has a layer of knit on the back of them. I folded it in half the long way, and then I'm going to take a pair of pants that I like the way they fit already and place them on top of the fabric. I'm folding them in half, and I'm using the front crotch seam to face it forward, and I'm making sure to tuck in the back crotch seam so that is even, and then I'm folding down the top waistband. So be sure that you don't have any of that back crotch seam laying out on this side. And then I'm going to cut a half inch seam allowance around just that side. And right above where the waistband should be. I've switched to my rotary cutter because it's easier to cut the sequins with that as opposed to the scissors that I have. And then I'm going across the bottom. Now I'm going to take some pins and I'm going to pin a half inch away from this side leg seam, so that I'll know this is where this one side stops. And then I'm going to take the pants and refold them the other way using the back crotch seam for the other side of the pant. And I'm folding down the waistband. Notice how the top of the waistband on the back is higher and the crotch is longer. So this gives enough room for the butt to fit in the back of the pants. That's why it's important to fold the front crotch seam and to fold the back crotch seam when you're cutting the front and the back side. So you'll have 2 layers of each one. Now that it's all cut out, I am placing 2 notches in the back crotch seam so that I'll know the difference between the front and the back. And then I'm going to pin it up only at the crotch seams. So from the top of the waistband down to the bottom of the crotch on the front and the back. And I'm going to sew down those sides using a stretch stitch and that half inch seam allowance. Now that it's all sewn up at both crotch seams, I am going to take them and place those seams together in the middle, and that creates pant legs. So now that the pants legs are formed, I am going to start pinning. We're going to match up the crotch right at the middle, seam to seam, and place a pin. And then the bottom, and pin all the way up the leg. And then around the other side. So you make sure that the crotch is pinned first, match up those seams, and then match up the bottom legs, and then pin the middle. And and we're going to sew stretch stitch down the edge. Now that that's done, we're going to work on the waistband and the leg bands. For these, I've used a double knit fabric that I had left over, and I measured my waist measurement by 6 inches. So that long piece is my waist measurement by 6 inches, and the leg piece is 6 inches by 10 inches. So it's 10 inches long by 6 inches wide. You can fold it over in half, and we're going to sew down the seam for all of those pieces. And that's going to create the waistband and the leg bands. And for the waistband, we need a piece of elastic. So I'm going to take that 1-inch elastic, and I am using my waistband as a template. I'm folding it in half so that it'll be the same size as the waistband that I've created with the knit fabric. And I'm going to cut that out. And you take that elastic and overlap it by 1 inch, and you're going to do a zigzag stitch up and down across that overlap to close it up. So now that that's sewn up and the leg bands and the waistband is sewn up, we are going to take the leg bands and we're going to fold them in half. They were 6 inches long, 6 inches wide, so that we would have 3-inch leg bands. We're going to take the leg bands and fold them both in half. And then we're going to take the folded side and we're going to slip it over the pant leg, having all of the raw edges facing downward. So the folded side will be facing up towards the waistline. And we're going to match up the seam of that folded cuff to the seam, the inside seam of the pant leg, and place a pin. And we're going to take it to the machine and we're going to stretch and stitch all the way around to make that cuff match the pant leg. And you're going to use a stretch stitch to do that. You're going to do it to both legs. And now for the waistband, we're going to slip that elastic over the middle. And then fold it down. So now the elastic is encased inside of the waistband. And now the waistband is 3 inches as well. We're going to find the seam of the waistband and the seam of the elastic, and we're going to pin those together, and we're going to zigzag stitch down 1 inch back and forth. That will keep the elastic waistband in place. Now we're going to section the waistband so that it matches up with the top part of the pants. So we're going to find the front middle, the back middle, and the 2 sides, and we're going to place a pin in each section. Now after I sectioned mine off, I took it over to the machine and I closed up the raw edges so that it would have a finished look on the inside of the pants. But that's optional. And then once I finished off the edges, I took it to the pants and I slipped it over the top of the pants, making sure to find those double notches on the pants for the back and placing that back seam with those 2 notches. So the folded side of the waistband is facing downward and the raw edges, or the edges that I finished off, are facing upward. And I'm going to place a pin. Well, I'm going to match the pins that I've already placed in the waistband, the front middle to the front middle seam of the pants, the side to the side fold of the pants, the back seam to those back double notches in the back seam of the pants, and then the other side. I pulled it out to make sure that the fold was correct so that I can match it up perfectly. Now that it's all pinned up, I am going to stretch and pull on the waistband so that it'll match up with the pants, and do a stretch stitch around the top. Now that it's all sewn up on the waistband and the leg cuffs, all you have to do is fold them down and these pants are done. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel and I will see you again soon. Bye.